This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Rajni Jain. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, I'd like to welcome you all to this online meeting. Please take a moment to review the guidelines for this online meeting posted in the chat window. I now request the moderator, Mr. Lakshmipati, to introduce the speaker and start the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rajini. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Lakshmipati. I'll be moderating this meeting. Agricultureinformation.com likes to welcome to this meeting Dr. Madhumita Dash, the Principal AI Research Engineer of Fasal Workers Technology Solutions Limited, Bangalore. Dr. Madhumita Dash will be speaking on the topic AI and IoT in solving major agricultural challenges of today. I now request the speaker to begin.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction. Yeah, thank you. Are you all able to hear me?
Yes, you are quite audible.
Okay. So thank you, everyone. Today I would be covering about like how AI and IoT could be the next green revolution and help in solving some of the major challenges that agriculture today is facing globally. And I would cover the use cases, like, because Fasal is a pioneer in India to introduce this technology. And I will be talking about like some of the use cases from Fasal and how we see that the promises that this technology has to offer. So, and then we will briefly cover what are the challenges going ahead and what we are doing to solve those. So to begin with, a very brief introduction to AI. So it's a buzzword, and the thing is that AI, ML, deep learning, neural network, you keep hearing them they keep they replace one word with the other. But in a nutshell, AI is anything. It's the science of making intelligent machines or programs. So traditionally, what happens in AI, a human being will find certain rules. Those rules will be passed on to, say, a programmer, a software developer. They will code those rules and develop a program which can be further applied either through applications or something where these decisions could be made. But with the advent in technology, this has become much smarter now, because now we have really access to high performing computer as well as large amount of data. Now, if you see, everywhere data is being collected with the smartphones, with your website, every page you visit, all those informations are being stored. So then now what is happening is like certain rules are very complex. It's not possible for a human being to go through those all the rules and regulations and try to find a pattern there. If we even try to do that, it will take a lot of time. So that way machines are better than human being. They have very fast computational capacity. So now there is a subset of AI which is what you keep hearing as the buzzword, which is machine learning and deep learning. So in machine learning and deep learning, you pass on the data to the computer. The machine would be able to pick up the patterns and find the rules, and using those rules, then you can predict what will be the output. The difference between machine learning and deep learning is just in the architecture of the algorithm that is being used. With machine learning, like a human being will be sitting in between to extract features from the data and then apply those to algorithms, whereas in deep learning, the feature extraction, everything happens automatically. And that's why deep learning is being used a lot in image processing, natural language processing, and video processing. So that's in a nutshell what AI is about. Moving on, how AI is being applied in agriculture industry, the major areas where it is being applied is in agricultural robotics. This is mostly happening a lot in Western country where labor is expensive. There are few startups and few research also happening in Indian context, but not so much. So basically, if you see in this image, this is a robot that is able to, in a nursery that has camera and sensors attached. It goes through the nursery, and you can think of it as like the eye of the grower. Can find any issues based on the phenotype, if there is a disease or if there is a some water stress, any kind of stress, and based on that can do stress spot treatment. But as I mentioned, this is still at a very nascent stage, and most of research is happening in Western countries. The area where we see AI applications happening a lot in India, and where we actually see a lot of benefit, is one in the supply chain management and in the crop growth management, including soil and crop monitoring, as well as predictive analytics. So in supply chain, you could think of it from starting from getting the raw material to growing the crop to the getting to the end consumers, from whole the farm to fork management. And with the new farmer bill and all these protests happening, that's definitely an area where it would help our growers and farmers a lot. But for this talk, I will be focusing on the other two topics, like how soil and crop monitoring is happening, like how AI and IoT is being used for soil and crop monitoring, and how the predictive analytics from AI is applied there. I will be talking in details about these two. So for now, I will just skip this part. So to begin with, what are the core problems in agriculture right now? So traditionally, growing crop is not easy. A lot of intelligence goes into it. But most of our growers and farmers, it's like, the way they water the crop, or the way they do the fertigation or pest management, a lot of guesswork is involved there. It's not very data driven. It's not very, and it's also like, without any technology, it will be difficult. It is based on the experience or what has been passed on to them from previous generation, or what they learn seeing other people do. The problem that is like, because of which there is a very poor resource utilization. For example, in India, agriculture or alone consumes like 70% of the water resource. And if you see the water use efficiency of Indian agriculture, on an average, it comes around like 40%. Whereas in developed countries, the water use efficiency goes up to 70%. So for a growing population, when there is a lot of the domestic need is also increasing, that puts a lot of pressure on, like, if just agriculture consumes 70% of water, that puts a lot of pressure on the water resource for our country. And agriculture alone contributes to 20% of, like, greenhouse gas emission, and that is mostly due to, like, the kind of crops we grow, the kind of, we do over fertigation, and all these nitrous fertilizer, they release nitrous oxide, which kind of, is a greenhouse gas, and that is leading to climate change. And the irony is that agriculture is the sector that is affected most due to climate change. So you can think of it as a whole cycle. Like, if you solve these issues, if you make, like, the agriculture more smarter, you will be able to solve the climate change, and which in turn will help mitigate these issues that that is facing our farmers and growers. So that brings us to the topic that now it is high time that we should remove this guesswork from agriculture, and use AI and make agriculture more data driven and smart. So if when we talk about data, what are the kind of data that are available right now? So there are multiple kind of data, like starting from satellite imagery that are being used, drones. Drones are, like, that's definitely a technology that is being explored. You don't see a lot of that. Third are sensors, and finally we have GPS. So I will be mostly covering the sensors parts, though Fasal has been, like, has been doing research on satellite remote sensing and all that. But the most of the part that I will cover is using the usage of sensors. And what are the benefits of this smart farming? Number one is, which I've been saying, that because of guesswork, it leads to poor resource utilization. Using data-driven precision farming or smart farming, that will optimize how the resources are being used. Because with the data, we can provide the information when to water, how much to water, when to fertigate, or when there is any probability of a risk of disease or pest happening. Secondly, because if you are using your resources well, that will save you money also. And I will be covering that these use cases also, like what we have seen by using our device. Third, it is like, optimizing resources actually increases your crop. Overwatering leads to many root rot and root diseases that affects your crop growth and crop yield. And that is just one of the example. Through your data driven and using this smart farming, we have seen our customers have reported an increased crop yield. Finally, because, well, not finally, but because you are not overusing these chemicals, and what happens, like in most of our Indian produce, we do find a lot of chemical residues, because of which they do not meet export quality. Through using this technology, you can produce export quality produce, that therefore more benefits to the growers. And finally, this is a sustainable way of farming. It's beneficial both to the farmer as well as to the planet and the people. Now, that's what our motto is, grow more and grow better. What Fasal does is, it's an IoT based and AI powered platform. Currently we are focusing on horticultural crops, and we capture, using our sensors, we capture real-time data on the farm conditions, and then we deliver very customized, where it is our advisories are very farm specific, crop state specific, actionable advisories to the farmers or growers. And these advisories are available via mobile app or web app, and in multiple languages. And currently, we have a lot of big large scale producers like Monsanto, Grover Zampa, but we also have we are working with many mid to marginal farmers as well. But as I mentioned, that our current focus is on horticultural crops. So how does this work? What do we do? So you can think of Fasal as divided. Our product, that our offering is, in you can divide into two parts. One is the hardware or the Fasal device. That comes equipped with around 13 sensors, and these sensors, they capture soil moisture, soil temperature, canopy temperature, humidity, pressure, and also it comes with a weather station that captures wind speed, wind velocity, rainfall, that has a rain gauge also. So these are all important parameters that is required for to monitor a crop growth and to predict all the actionable advisories that is required. So this is an IoT device, and the data that is captured through these sensors is sent to the cloud. And using this data, we develop AI models, and then using those models, we provide advisories to the farmers, which is delivered to them through their mobile phone. We also have a web app, so they can use their desktop or laptop also. Now, what kind of advisories do we provide? So number one is we provide irrigation advisory, and we provide very precise irrigation advisory, as I mentioned, because we have soil moisture sensors and soil temperature. So using all these parameters, and based on a crop stage, crop variety, soil type, we provide irrigation advisory to our farmers. So the idea is that they, instead of just watering based on guesswork, this is a very data driven advisory that we provide, and we tell them when to water and how much to water. Secondly, Fasal also provide disease and pest management. So we do we have inbuilt pest and disease models for the focused crops that we are working on. So we do early pest and disease prediction, and based on the risk of the pest and disease occurrence, we provide preventive spray advisories to the farmers, and it depends on the kind of farming you do. If it's organic farming you do, then we provide organic farming solutions. Otherwise, if you are for a commercial farmer, then we provide whatever is the best. And we definitely keep checking and updating the chemical list as per the different regulatory bodies. Thirdly, we also do microclimatic forecast. So if you open any weather app, they do a forecast, they provide you forecast for a much larger area. So most of these weather apps, they do forecast for say at the district level, tehsil level, or city level, or maybe the grid size or the size for which they provide same forecast could be around 25 to 50 square kilometer. But for a farmer, it's very important to know what is exactly going to happen in their farm. So what we do is we take this forecast data, and because we have sensors and we have the real-time data, we use AI models to downscale this forecast and provide a very microclimate, which is at the farm level, which is around 100 square meter. So our forecast is if you see, we have customers who have plots within 1 kilometer distance or less than even 1 kilometer, and if you check our forecast, it will be different for those two plots, for those two farms. Whereas if you open a weather app, it will give you the same forecast for those regions. And most of you would be aware that how the microclimate changes, and even sometimes it rains, it is raining in your region, but just within if you move 1 kilometer, it is not raining there. So that's why microclimatic forecast is very crucial, and that's what we do. Because our forecast activities is we provide 14-day ahead forecast. So our application could be used for crop activity planning. Based on the forecast, you can see what stage your crop will be in next 14 days, when harvesting should be done and all that, and accordingly you can plan your crop activities. And finally, the application could be used also for the finance management based on your expenditure and investment that is happening, and you can use the application for finance management. So next, coming to, I did mention that how data driven, how AI is going to change, and it's the right way to do the farm. So if I cover Fasal's impact, that what we have seen that using our advisories, our farmers are able to save on an average 20 to 30% in the water usage. We have also started Fasal. It has been almost few months that Fasal has started water credits, and every month we award water credit to the top the water champions who optimize their optimize their water usage. Secondly, because we provide very precise and very early pest and disease predictions, and because due to which most of the sprays that the farmers take are preventive sprays, and they have observed on an average 18 to 25% decrease in the spray cost. And as I mentioned, that because if you this is a sustainable and also profitable way of doing agriculture, on an average, our farmers have also reported 8 to 15% increase in their yield. Compared to this study is based on a comparison study within field as well as other nearby fields and area also. So now we we have this our advisory, or the Fasal technology is being used by a lot of we have a much larger customer base now, and it is available for over around 2,000 acres of plot. And as we are getting more and more data, it is also giving us, we are also advancing in our technology, and the more data also helps in making understanding on a national level, like what are the challenges that are being faced, and accordingly provide more new features to the to our growers. And recently we also released Fasal Kranti. So in the initial, if you see the device, the image of the picture, the earlier version of our device, they used to take around 1 hour to install the device. And what used to happen, like we had to send a field officer or a field engineer to help in the installation of the device. And due to pandemic, that became very challenging. So that's where we Fasal, in Fasal, we came up with this idea about Fasal Kranti, which is like, that hardly take 15 to 20 minutes to install it on the on your farm, and it's pretty much plug and play. It is very low maintenance, and it kind of supports 2G, 3G, 4G, as well as LoRa connectivity. And that we, through this, we are trying to solve even the connectivity problem that we see in a lot of remote villages and farms. So as I mentioned, with more and more data, and as we are gaining more and more customer base also, we are also realizing that what are the challenges that are being faced, and we keep updating the technology. It's the same way, like, so this is like version 4 of our device. So even though we see a lot of these advantages, the adoption of AI or IoT in Indian agriculture is still pretty slow. The reason, like, even this technology that we are talking about, it's not a new technology. Smart agriculture or precision farming has been there since 1982, and in Western countries it has been for a decade, or more, over a decade, that this technology is being used and developed. Whereas in India, it's only in past few years that we have started seeing, like, the usage of this technology. And as I mentioned that Fasal was one of the pioneer in introducing this technology to India. And we are like a 4-year-old, 3 to 4-year-old company. So the reason being, and what we should do to, like, to close this gap and make this accessible to our growers and farmers is, number one is to reduce the learning curve. That is one thing we saw mostly, that when you talk about like this AI, IoT technology, it kind of is like a black box. Like, they just don't understand. Sometimes it's like, because it's a black box, there is no visibility of what is happening in the back end, how these models are made, how is this data helping in the decision making. So it's very important that we need to reduce this learning curve. So through this webinar, as well as at Fasal, we have webinars on how we are doing pest and disease model, how are we developing our irrigation advisories, how the microclimatic forecast happens. So we want that people who are using it should have an understanding of the technology or the intelligence that goes behind in the back end. It shouldn't be a black box to the farmers or the growers. It will give them a visibility, like what is happening, and a better understanding of how to use this technology. And B, nobody knows the how to grow a crop better than a grower himself or herself. So they can then, like, equally contribute in improving and making this better also. Second thing is, we still in India, in rural countries, rural areas, we still have poor internet connectivity. Network connectivity has been a big problem. As I mentioned, that we have been improving upon it. We are introducing more technologies, and hopefully with the 5G and all, it is getting better, but we still have a long way to go ahead. If internet is not available to the entire country, this technology also cannot reach to the entire country. Thirdly, this technology has to be made affordable. That's very important. Most of our farmers and growers are marginal farmers. If you bring a very expensive technology, however useful it will be, it no, but they wouldn't want to use it. And finally, even if we are still not using the technology, we should definitely focus on collecting good quality data and improving the current data quality. We see this in house at Fasal only, as the models that we had developed say 3 years back versus now, the huge improvement we have seen. And we keep working on the data quality, which means whatever advisories we provide, we keep going and checking on the at the field level. We keep doing verification and validation through the growers as well as through the field officers. It's very important that we should be very whatever data is being collected, that is the future now. The more data you have, the better these kind of advisories will be provided to you. One other thing is that we should focus on is solving the gender disparity that we have in Indian agriculture. This is something that me and my colleagues at Fasal started observing, that when we go and visit any farms, it's if you talk about see the farm workers and everything, 70% of the work that is happening is done by women laborers. But when it comes to decision making, that percentage is highly skewed. Only less than 10% of the if you see the land ownership, the distribution is highly skewed, and it is again vary from state to state, but on an average less than 10% Indian women have access, own the land, or they have less than 5% have access to institutional credit, and hardly 1% take any such kind of training and or have access to these kind of technologies. Now think about if more than 70% of work are done by women laborers, then and if they do not know these technologies and how much impact it is having on the climate and the quality of the produce that we are growing. So that was one of the gap we started seeing, and that's why me and my colleagues, we have started this group, Women in Agriculture. The links are here, and I will also also ask the moderator to share the links with you all. Please join and support this group, because we definitely would like to. This is a platform that we have developed to encourage and provide training to more women farmers, growers, and encourage women leadership in agriculture as well. So that's few of the things that I think will help in solving and improving the adoption of these technology in our country. And in the end, I will just say that just grow more and grow better. Thank you all. If you all have any questions, I will be more than happy to answer.
Thank you, Dr. Madhumita Dash. It was a wonderful session. I now request the participants to ask their questions. We'll also be posting the speaker's contact details in the chat window. Now over to the participants for questions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Madhumita, and really it's a very good presentation, and
Thank you.
really you are doing a great work as well. Really appreciate,
Thanks
and
so much,
especially
sir.
the last slide about empowering the women who are working into the agriculture. I'm having a couple of questions. I appreciate that this is a weather monitoring station, what you are telling that it is to be installed into the farms. So how many number of these stations are required? Say, for example, somebody is having a 1 acre of land. How much these stations he will have to install?
Um, sure, sir.
How many stations will have to be installed?
Sure, sir.
Mr. Excuse me, sorry to interrupt. Dr. Madhumita, can you please stop sharing the screen?
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
So, sir, first, one thing I would like to say that this is not a weather station. This is it has a weather station, but it also comes with other. We call it an IoT device, agriculture IoT device. And to answer your question, we say that our advisories, because it includes a lot of microclimatic forecast, based on in certain regions like hilly areas, you might see more variation. But if it's a flat land, then for a 2.5 acre, these advisories are applicable. Um, and same goes for the soil moisture sensors. But again, it could vary. As I said, these are like very farm specific. You might see much more variation depending upon the topography of your farm. But on an average, yeah, for 2.5 acre, we say to install one unit.
Okay, and what about the plant health? Basically, means it is through image processing, or is it through the soil nutrients? You give the information about the crop health.
Uh, Good question. So initially, when this was started, I would say like until last year, the plant health assessment, there was nothing. What we were monitoring was the soil condition, the water, the soil moisture condition, and other weather parameters also, like whether if the temperature is favorable or not. So those things we were monitoring and providing that. But now we have, I didn't cover it because it's still like, in development phase, and it's available to some of the customers. So we have started using remote sensing, or you could say like, satellite imagery for crop health assessment also, where you could say that we take it a step further. Like instead of we saying that, oh, your farm has a high risk of say powdery mildew, we say that which part of your farm, which region or which area of your farm could looks like having a disease, looks diseased, or where it like, the for the soil, even the nitrogen level also, as well as water stress or any other kind of biotic and abiotic stress. We do that using GIS technology.
Usually the pesticides, or even we say the organic pesticide in Indian context, if we see, they sprinkle it manually, right? The labor is sprinkling it manually. So definitely the spread of that medicine or spread of that fertilizer is uneven into the land. Say if he's having a land of 1 acre or 2 acre, then the watering what he is doing, it is not also proper the entire area of the land. So means still that one station helps in getting the soil health scenario, because
So as I
nutrient
mentioned, like,
contents will vary according to the fertilizer sprayed into the land. This is what I
yeah.
feel means.
Of course, yeah, that's very true. And I completely agree with you. The variation should be, you could install more stations also. And some of the, it's actually a decision that the growers make, some based on like, their investment that they would like to do. They can decide how much, and some actually install more. Like it's not like, say they would install say a main unit that comes with all the sensors, but we also have like irrigation unit that only comes with the soil moisture sensor and the soil temperature sensors, which are required to provide the irrigation advisories. Like the more variation they have, they will accordingly install more of those stations, or the more of those devices. But that's why we are exploring into GIS also, because then that gives you as a bird eye view of the farm, and how the spraying is happening, how evenly or unevenly it is distributed, how it is affecting like your disease occurrence. Right now there is like, based just on this data, we cannot measure. This is an information that we don't have, which is spray effectiveness. What like, what time you sprayed, when you sprayed, it also matters on that. What kind of droplet size you are using, all those things
Right.
will matter. So we are definitely like, doing both field experiments, as well as using GIS technology. We are developing advisories for that.
Another question, ma'am. Like during our school days, we learned that the NPK is very important parameter for soil, for the agriculture soil. Like NPK, these three important elements are there which decides the crop health. This is what we studied during our school days. And you said that the unit what you are having, it is having the 13 sensors. I'm sure these NPK sensor are are also there, or it is
No,
not
no.
there?
So we actually explored NPK sensors. None of those data were reliable. We are like, we kind of started exploring soil testing. And then we are exploring GIS technology, like using satellite imagery to predict, to monitor NPK level of your soil. But this is something we are exploring. Like, obviously, if we provide any sensor or any kind of technology, we want to be sure that it is accurate and the data is accurate. So it is something we are in, it's in the development phase. We are testing it with the field data.
Thank you so much, ma'am. But I really appreciate the efforts what been put by you and your team. Hats off to
Thank you.
you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you
Mr.
so much.
Mani. Next, we will move on to Mr. Sudhiranjan Mandal.
Good evening, Dr. Madhumita.
Hello.
Actually, I had a question which is slightly not exactly what you are doing, I think. Do you have any GIS technology currently available for measuring the water table and the water availability in a particular area?
Soil moisture, I think there is, we are working on it to get the soil moisture content, but there is another, I forgot their name, it was SAT imagery or something. They had recently developed a soil moisture map for Indian farms and all that. But as you mentioned, there are startups that have developed this, but there is also research going on, including in Fasal also. Not sure if it's not going to cover water table, but it will definitely be predicting and forecasting the soil moisture, which will help in predicting drought conditions or anything in future. I'm not sure about water table. I think there might be other agencies that would be looking into it.
Okay. And this Fasal Kranti, you said, what would be, you have it is some custom-made device or it is a regularly available device? So I'd like to know the cost one would incur if one is to install it.
So I actually, I'm not the right person to know the cost. I should have asked for the cost. It's a, because we launched it in last like this year April only, so I'm not 100% sure about the cost, but I will definitely get back to you about the cost. But it is a custom made device. It's made in India, it's designed in India, it's designed at Fasal only. But please, like, I think my email address has been shared, or I will get your email address and talk to the sales and marketing team and get back to you about the cost of the device.
No, what are the number of units that will be required per acre or per hectare or something like that? Is any data is available?
Yes, as I mentioned, on an average, for a 2.5 acre plot, we advise with one main unit. But as I mentioned, that it depends where your farm is located. We have now growers from Himachal Pradesh. The same thing wouldn't be applied there because the area is hilly. Sometimes part of the farm is facing north facing, part is facing south facing. So in that case, it is like, a little bit you would need more units for a 2.5 acre plot. But most of the other regions, what we advise is like, one device for a 2.5 acre plot.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah,
Next
most
question
welcome.
is from Mr. Vidul Sagal.
Dr. Dash, lovely presentation and good day to you. I just want to ask whether your system, excuse me, is interfaceable with greenhouse technology.
Yes. We have units that are designed for polyhouse and greenhouse, or nurseries also, and they are being used. Like I mentioned one Monsanto, and like, we have other users also. They mostly use it for greenhouse system only.
And the second question is that, does your system If your system is the sun, does it have planets spread across the 2.5 acres?
Sorry, can you repeat your question, please?
If your monitor or your system is the sun, do you have planets spread across the 2.5 acre, or is it just a standard collecting data
Okay.
from these planets?
Okay. Yes, it depends on how this has been designed. It could with some of the, so we call farm, and within farm we have plots. So within a farm we could have one main unit that comes with all the sensors, and based on the requirement, like there could be just irrigation unit or other sub units, you could say. And as you mentioned,
RFID,
yes,
yeah,
yeah,
RFID measuring different things across the farm, because I
yes,
would imagine if one main system was there, then it would only monitor around itself. But if it
yes.
is remotely connected to RFIDs or IoT units, then is the coverage wholesome over the 2.5 acres?
Yes, of course. Again, it's like, as I said, these are all customized based on the requirement of the grower, the kind of farm they have. So yeah, these are like remotely, these are IoT devices. So we assign a farm, and within farm there could be multiple plots, and each plots could have different devices, but they all are connected together. And accordingly, we you provide the advisories, but if there is a lot of variation in the soil quality and the soil moisture, then we provide very all these plots will have different irrigation advisories, or maybe pest advisories also. In some cases, if it could be the architecture could be it's just one unit, and then we will include integrate it with our GIS data to get to get a bird eye view of the entire 2.5 acre plot. But again, as I mentioned, because it's a very it on an average, yes, it works. The microclimate forecast and everything works for a 2.5 acre, but that doesn't necessarily will be true for, like, say, for your case, depending upon where your farm is located.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And once again, a very nice presentation, and keep it up. I hope you expand and get your market as and when you require it for revenue.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Yeah.
Thank you. Miss Leela, ask the next question.
Yeah, good evening, Dr. Madhumita. It was a very
Hello,
nice
ma'am.
presentation and
Thank you.
very
Thank
good
you so
useful
much.
information as well. So just we do have a 40-acre community farm here in Tamil Nadu. So we have got solar fencing and CCTV surveillance. Since you're talking about this IoT application, if we install this unit over this, probably, I don't know, I think maybe as per the estimate seems there will be many units required. So just want to know, does this IoT system facilitate to integrate with other um, electronic or electrical services like CCTV
Yes.
or a solar fencing? Does your system provide the integration?
So yes, we have an API which will, and if the system you are using, if they also have an API, application interface, then we can definitely communicate. To give you an example, a lot of our growers actually have now switched to drip irrigation. So we have partnership with, say, Mobitech and other, and we are also talking with, say, Jain Irrigation, like major drip irrigation provider. So like we predict when it needs to water, and we can tie up with their API, and automatically we will switch on their system and water it as when it reaches the recommended amount, it will be switched off. So yes, most of these technology, that's what the idea is, if the CCTV system that you are using, if they have an API system, we can easily uh, build an interface and communicate and combine this data. That would be great, and we are always exploring such partnership opportunities.
And secondly, this regarding the unit maintenance and what is the lifespan of this unit?
So it varies from with the Fasal Kranti, that has the way it has been designed. The idea is that it will require minimum maintenance. The lifespan, we have devices that are still in field for like, it has been over 4 years that are still in the field. So on an average, we assume 4 to 6 years that the lifespan of the device, but we still need data to prove it. As I said, the company is fairly new and the version 4 has been released only in April 2021. So it could last. Once we have more data, we will get a concrete idea. But based on the design and testing, right now the recommendation time lifespan is 4 to 5 years. And maintenance is also like the way we have designed Fasal Kranti. It will be the issues that we were observing in other earlier models. Like, there were some open regions where, like, sometimes some rodents will come and cut the wires, and then we would have to go and replace those wires or those units. So that has been taken care. So all the small maintenance issues we have designed so that those issues wouldn't occur. That happens on field. So yeah, I mean, I assume with Fasal Kranti that the maintenance will be least, and with more data we will have a better idea.
But
Thank you.
madam, this is Manish again. Actually, say for example, the as ma'am was asking about the lifetime of the IoT devices, and you said that 5 to 6 years. But I think it must be depending on that for how many times you are taking the data from your device, right? So, are
No,
you
no, no, it
taking
doesn't
how
matter.
frequently you are taking the data? Because it must be, it may be battery driven or solar power driven, and
Mm.
the for how much time your device is in sleep mode or into the wake up mode. So how many times you get the data from your node, that is important. So I'm just asking you that for how many times you acquire the data from the that whatever device you are having on field in a
Okay.
day.
Yeah, so we collect every 1 hour the data in because in some places we were having network issues, so we had increased the frequency to collecting data every 10 minutes. But on an average, we collect data every 1 hour. And no, it doesn't. And yes, you are right. It comes with a solar powered battery, but the frequency of the frequency in which the data is collected doesn't matter the lifespan of the device. The lifespan of the device, what could matter is, like, there are few what you say like it's for example, any kind of hardware, how well you take care of it. Like, there are few when you get the device, you get certain like, small one few points or guidelines to take care of the device, like regularly clean it or something like that. I'm not sure if it is required in version 4. That was for the earlier version of the devices, like regularly clean the rain gauge. I think that would still will be applicable to version 4 also. And see if there are any, like, birds. Sometimes birds build nest and all that, so remove those things. If there are any spider webs, then remove that. So if you are, like, cleaning and taking care of your device, that will determine your the lifespan. But the frequency at which the data is collected, that doesn't account for the lifespan.
Thank you, madam.
So, got your answer. Okay. Over to Miss Leela again. You have any more questions, Miss Leela? You are asking Miss Leela, you have any more questions?
No, I have received complete information. Thank you.
Okay, then move on to Miss Jenny. Miss Jenny to now ask the question.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, madam. I enjoyed your talk a lot. I just want to know whether your system is available in our place called Konkan. We are,
Konkan,
mine is
what?
a here, and we have this storm. So even today, the storm is affecting our areas. So I just want to know how much will it help us and whether it is available there.
Oh, I think we are. I mean, if we are now available in around 7 to 8 states, but we are also open. Like, we are even exploring, like, one of the device we installed in Jammu also. So I think obviously Konkan should be available. But please like, let me know the exact region, and I will reach out to the logistic team. If we are not available, we definitely if you require the device, we will that can be taken care of. talking about the storm, I mean, it's good you mentioned, because today I got feedback from some of the people that are located in West Bengal, where this, like, rainfall is
Yes.
happening. And they did say that, the advisories that we provide based on heavy rainfall or rainfall alerts is far better and accurate than other weather focused applications. But saying that, we do understand rainfall in India is the most challenging thing that we have faced, and that is also one of the most crucial thing that the Indian growers and farmers require. And we are working on it, using more data, including satellite images and all kind of data, just not based general numerical weather predictions that a lot of weather companies are doing. We also have tie-up with some Indian-based weather companies to further improve our rainfall predictions. But yeah, I'm pretty sure, that's why we provide microclimate forecast, to bring you more accurate advisories to your farm.
Madam, I'm based at Savantwadi, and we have a lot of electricity problems also and net problems also. We cannot connect people outside for most of the time, and even now, when there is rainfall, everything is closed. The rains are so bad that there is no, I mean, you can't even move out of your house. So much. Of course, today
Yeah,
I'm here.
I think these are like extreme conditions. I'm sure, the battery has a backup of 72 hours or something, even if there is no sunlight. It's a but I'm not 100% like that's something the hardware team. But these are few things that that is in last 3 years that we have faced and definitely improved upon. We understand, as I mentioned, that network connectivity and something is so that's why we are working on the other technology. If internet fails, then there should be some radio tower to which the machine could latch and send data. That your data shouldn't be lost, and your advisories, those advisories should reach out to you.
Can I just check?
Mandal?
Pardon?
Sorry?
I said,
Jenny, you want to ask anything more?
For that?
Jenny, you want to ask anything more?
Sir, I want to ask her whether we can get subsidy on the items that we have from her.
Yeah, please go ahead. Please ask.
Will you give us subsidy on those items which you are selling to us?
Ma'am, I'm like a AI research engineer, but please reach out to me and I will forward you to the the sales and marketing team. They actually take care of these things. They will have the answer, and they will also see what kind of crops you are growing, where you are located, and they will give you a better idea about the device.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Sudhiranjan. Mr. Sudhiranjan, your mic is on. You want to ask anything? What about Mr. Subir Mukherjee?
Yes, madam. Do you have any contact number in West Bengal? Hello. Hello.
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm not sure if we have any contact number in West Bengal, but I will ask and definitely get back to you.
Okay. Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Participants, for any further clarification, you can write to the speaker via our email. Then she will be able to respond to you and then do all help. Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else with questions? Mr. Joseph Brito.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Lakshmipati. Thank you, Dr. Madhumita, for a very perfect professional presentation. We learned much. See, I would like to know, see, you have all these, what do you call, items, for weather, rain gauge you've got a device for soil test, GIS, irrigation, spraying. How much do each of these devices cost?
And is it possible, is it necessary that a farmer who's having a, say, 2 to 3 acres, he has to buy all these devices, or is it sufficient to buy only a 2 or 3?
Sir, all these technology, I there is one main unit that has all these sensors. It has a weather
Okay.
station, it has all the soil moisture sensor, and when you get the device, which is one device, you automatically get the application and the GIS advisory. The application has a when you buy the device for 1 year, you get a free application subscription. After that, you will have to renew your application subscription, and based on how many advisories you get, it could vary from 4K to 5K a year. But it's not that you have to buy all these units separately. There is a bundle unit also that comes with everything. I think you, based on your requirement, if you are interested, you can, I will get you in touch with the sales and marketing team. Based on your requirement, they will give you what will work best for you. What kind of unit, how many features do you need? They will customize a unit for you.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And what's the maximum area that you can cover? Is there any limit to the area that you can cover, or should it be within a certain acreage? Can it be farms located in different areas?
So if your farms are located in different areas, then you need to install different devices. Unless your farms are like the maximum coverage that we recommend is 2.5 acres. But again, it could vary based on where your farm is located, how is the topography of your farm. Based on that, it will differ. But on an average, we say 2.5 acre.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you. And somebody was asking about measuring the depth of water table in a given area. The best way to do it is to measure the water level in a shallow well with a tape. A well could be close to the farm, that will give the correct indication of the water table in that area.
Okay, okay. Good to know that. That's interesting. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much. We'll be in touch with you all.
Sure, sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Brito, for asking that question. Then any more questions for participants? Okay, no more questions from participants. I think that is all we have for the day. We have now completed the round of questions. I would like to thank the speaker, Dr. Madhumita Dash, on behalf of Agriculture Information, for taking the time to speak with us with an interesting presentation. I now request the organizer of the meeting, Ms. Rajini Jain, to please close. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lakshmipati. I like to thank the speaker, Dr. Madhumita Dash, for taking the time to talk with us. I also like to thank all the participants for their time. The meeting will now be closed.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.